Yo, what is the deal, everybody? Salute to everybody out there rocking with me today. You are now rocking with the best. Welcome to another Raider Nation Unlimited. I'm your man, Wasted Talent. Salute to everybody out there. Look, I know it's been a while, man. It's been a while. This show has not been promoted because I didn't think I was going to have time today. But guess what? I got time, yo. We got over 100 in the room. Get wasted with your brother, Wasted. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Share this thing out to all social media. Salute to everybody in the chat. Let me get my shout outs and salutations. Oh my God, Solly Mitchell's in the place. Just Raiders, baby, is in the place. Resplendent Raider is in the place. Oh my God, KL Raider. Kevin High Stakes Gentry. 87 Nada. Dan Tesser. The great and powerful Raider Bubber and CGR. The greatest mods in the world, man. Not named Hug D's. My God, man. Pat Haggerty, love the content, man. Appreciate you, bro. Shock Bowers is in the place. Fupa Trooper is in the place. MG's Rorschach is in the place. Said the Don himself, Wasted Talent, man. My God, man. My God, man. You know what, man? Look, bro. I'm trying to tell y'all something, bro. It's different, man. It's different in here. Yo, this guy, man. Look, bro. Somebody about to get unceremoniously blocked as soon as the damn show starts. So, guys, there's been a lot going on, man. It's been a lot of Raider news. It's been a lot, man. You know, you got this Joe Burrow stuff floating out here, but we're gonna get into that, right? We're gonna break down the news cycle. We do have a game in Philadelphia. They're gonna be in my neck of the woods, in the tri-state area. The game, you know what I'm saying, is gonna have Kenny Pickett as the starter. We're gonna break that down. And yo, we need to talk about Fernando Mendoza. We really do. We really do. Cal Redder says, I like JT says, Modelo Fridays, man. Well, listen, it's not Modelo Fridays over here at Raider Nation Unlimited, my guy. You know? But man, listen. My guy, One Nation, he goes, at Daughters basketball game, can't make the live, just popped in to tell the nation what's up. Raider Nation, watch the replay, my dog. Appreciate you, man. Speaking of daughters, you know, I literally just came back, man, from picking up my daughter from college, man. She flew in, man. Had to go to the airport. You know what I'm saying? So look, man, trying to tell y'all something, man. Hey, I am ecstatic today, man. The family is complete. My oldest is in the house. The queen is returned. So, you know, we're going to be rocking with y'all, man. Why do I have a feeling we F around and win, bro? I got that same sinking feeling. The Raiders always do this at least once a year, bro. At least once a year. We always do this, right? So, guys, look. Let's start this first, man. And look, there are a lot of people who've been speaking about this, and I'm gonna be real. This is a player that, you know, in Joe Burrow, that I have a ton of respect for. He is a player that, you know, I have always admired, and I've always wanted to be a Raider. You know, and a lot of this stuff we're kind of grasping at straws. This is really just a creation of Dan Orlovsky's mind. You know what I'm saying? But if we're being real here, I don't think that this happens. I don't think Joe Burrow leaves Cincinnati. I don't. And real rap, we actually need to really break this down, because there's some people who feel like, you know, this isn't something that the Raiders should explore. I feel like the situation is going to dictate the actual actions of the Raiders, right? The situation is going to dictate the action of the Raiders. Salute to my brother CGR for gifting 5 Raider Nation Unlimited Wasted Talent memberships to the masses, man. Salute and congratulations to the new members of the channel. Make sure you guys thank the great and powerful CGR, man. And please, if you guys are new members, man, if you new members, tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Trying to tell y'all right now, man. Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. Membership has its perks around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, I'm gonna be 100% real with you. Yo, I am going to start doing a lot more members content. a lot more members only stuff, especially during the draft. You know what I'm saying? But we definitely have to get into this. Now, Dan Orlovsky kind of ignited the Raider fan base with his claims about, Joe Burrow's future. Now, we know there's a lot that has changed for Joe Burrow since he's gone to a Super Bowl, man. In 2021, he took us down in the wild card round and it led them to the Super Bowl in his second professional season. And he has dealt with a number of crushing and grueling injuries. But beyond him dealing with all of the injuries, organizationally, the Bengals have really let this guy down. Now, I know a lot of people will say, how have they let him down? Right? They went out and they signed two of the best wide receivers in football. But that's where it kind of begins and ends, right? They kept his wide receivers there, sure, but they haven't put in a offensive line that is worthy of the kind of talent that Joe Burrow is. They have not done that yet. And this has become the bane of Joe Burrow's existence. Joe Burrow has gotten knocked around. He's gotten hit more than almost anybody in the NFL. And he seems very, very frustrated, right? And right now you have a kid in Joe Burrow who's one of the better quarterbacks in this league, sitting at 4-9 in the 2025 season. He's missed 9 games during his campaign. The Bengals defense is dead last in points allowed. The team is 0-3 when scoring 34 points or more. And things are just really, really bad for Joe Burrow, man. It really is. Now, Dan Orlovsky said the Raiders should pounce on Joe Burrow. So bad that Burrow took the podium and admittedly spilled his guts to local media, man. He said, if I want to keep doing this, in this cryptic message, he says, I have to do it having fun. Been through a lot. It's not fun. And then what am I doing it for, Burrow said. I've been through more than most, and it's certainly not easy on the brain or the body. So I'm just trying to have fun doing this again. There's a lot of things going on right now. It's a lot of things going on, right? Now, Jamar Chase kind of spoke on it too. He says he hasn't seen anything different out of Joe Burrow, right? And there is everybody around the National Football League trying to make sense of what that means for Joe Burrow, right? So Dan Orlovsky was really the one who kind of put this out there. And he said, listen, in the beginning, it's the beginning of the end for Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. The organization has absolutely failed him, Orlovsky said. He goes, if I'm the Jets, if I'm the Raiders, if I'm the Vikings, if I'm the Steelers, I am figuring out a way, coming off of what just happened yesterday, getting together and saying, how do we get Joe Burrow? How do we start the process of making Joe Burrow our quarterback? Because he obviously no longer wants to be in Cincinnati. Now, look, we're being real. If you're talking about, some of the organizations that he named, I could see Joe Burrow in New York. The Jets have, a lion's share of draft capital. The Jets have, the lights and the glitz and glamour of New York City. The Jets have a pretty decent assortment of talent. A pretty decent assortment of talent, man. They really do. They really, really do. If we're being honest, the Jets have a pretty decent assortment of talent. Salute to my guy, Rorschach. Wasted a GQ model, hence the talent is his name. Appreciate you, bro. Tripping, man. Salute to my guy, Raider War Report. Pickett going to mess up our Mendoza pick. Yo, man. Dog, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that, man. Man, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy, man. My guy, Preem, with the $10 slap-a-room. Burrow is due $48 million. On top of that, you lose your first round pick for the next 2 years and your second in 2026, likely. Can the Raiders build off that? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Yeah, and we're gonna get to that, right? We are definitely gonna get to that. But look, let's really get into it, man. When you start talking about the Jets, when you start talking about the Vikings have a young quarterback that they currently drafted that they can offer up, as well as draft capital, and they put Joe Burrow in a way better situation, from a talent perspective, and that defense they got in Minnesota, right? The Steelers are a team that the Bengals would never trade Joe Burrow in their division for him to kick their ass twice a year. So we can throw it out the window. But when you talk about Joe Burrow, you talk about his swagger, you talk about what makes the most sense. The Raiders make a hell of a lot of sense for Joe Burrow as a brand, right? The Las Vegas media, playing indoors, playing with Brock Bowers, playing with Ashton Genty. Him and Maxx Crosby kind of seem to have kind of the same kind of vibe, right? You know, the Raiders having Tom Brady in the building. And, you know, a lot of people have spoke about Tom Brady being in the building. A lot of people have spoke about, you know, how Tom Brady has a lot of affinity for Joe Burrow. Even when people were trying to compare Joe Burrow to Tom Brady, and Joe Burrow unequivocally, you know, stopped that. He said, yo, that's the GOAT right there. Tom Brady pretty much shares his love for Joe Burrow. He actually kind of juxtaposed and compared them, you know, to compare CJ Carr to Joe Burrow. He said CJ Carr is the best college quarterback he's seen since Joe Burrow. You know, Tom Brady has a huge amount of admiration for Joe Burrow. And see, eventually, those relationships are going to matter for the Raiders. The Spytek stuff, the Brady stuff. Eventually, that pendulum is going to swing and help the Raiders to kind of big game hunt. Now, do the Raiders, as an organization, tend to big game hunt? Yes, they do, right? And we're going to get into that. If you look at the way the Raiders handled themselves this offseason, that is predominantly what they did. They tried to woo Ben Johnson. They tried to bring in a big fish like Matthew Stafford. You know, they went out and tried to hire whatever big coach was on the market. This is what the Raiders are doing. You know, Mark Davis has been a owner who loves shiny things. He loves the glitz and the glamour. He loves the attention, right? Almost at the behest of making the right decision, right? So this is right up this Raider regime's alley, right? And you got to really look into this. And my guy Rio hit me, and he really reminded me and jogged my memory about something, man. You know, John Middlecoff, and I don't know if you guys remember Haberman and Middlecoff. You know, John Middlecoff is a guy who worked in the Eagles front office. He worked with the 49ers. He is an NFL insider. He has a pretty damn good podcast called the 3 and Out podcast. And back when Spytek was on the podcast, that's one of the only podcasts that John Middlecoff did because he has a relationship. I mean, Spytek did because he has a relationship with John Middlecoff. He told John that no stone was left unturned for trading and looking for a QB before they got Geno, he said. He goes, remember that opening press conference? He goes, feels like 2 years ago now. Spytek said, Pete Carroll and I weren't just blowing smoke. We meant it. When we said we look everywhere for a quarterback, we called teams just to see. I'd be embarrassed to tell you some of the players we probably called and asked for a trade. But you just never know, he added. And now after that quote, you know, Middlecoff said a few times on his podcast that he truly believes that Spytek was referring to Joe Burrow and calling Cincinnati. Now, I tend to believe this, and this is something that I remember, and I want to thank my guy Rio for reminding me of this, man. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. I can see the Raiders trying to make this move. I can see the Raiders trying to make this move. I really, 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 really can. I really, really can. I can see the Raiders making a move like this. I'm telling you now. Now, a lot of people will say that, you know, Joe Burrow is a guy that you would probably want to avoid, right? Because of his extensive injury history. And I know that. I know that. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to my guy Jay Rowe too, man. And salute to my dog Graf. So I want to build the team around a QB on a rookie deal wasted. J Rowe. And look, that seems to be a huge and one of the best metrics going, right? A lot of the times when you see a team that goes out there and they bring in an established quarterback, the quarterback is probably the icing on the cake at those times, right? When you're trying to build something, right, it's very, very hard to take a fledgling franchise such as the Raiders and build that situation up, right? But are the Raiders really as bad as we think? I know their record says that they're bad, right? But are the Raiders really as bad as we think? look, when you really look at the Raiders and you start breaking down the assortment of talent in this building, I think we're underestimating some of the talent that's in this building. I think we have an amalgamation of talent that is not being put in the best situation to be successful. When you really take a real detailed look at this team, and listen, I know you guys understand. You guys are the smartest chat in Raider YouTube. You guys understand what the Raiders have in this building. Now, I don't want to put the milk before the cow or the cart before the horse, right? But when I look at Jackson Powers-Johnson, right? Jackson Powers-Johnson, when healthy, can be a starting center and or a starting guard, a very, very effective starting guard. Caleb Rogers, in his limited appearances, is looking like we got a people mover. We look like we got a starting guard right there. We really do. Look like we got that one right. The kid is phenomenal. He was a right tackle in college. He played a hell of a lot of snaps in college. And when you see his movement, and salute to my brother Graphic Raider and a place to be, man. Get Wasted with your brother Wasted and my brother Graph. We are going to be going live tomorrow, man. Graph and Wasted show for the masses. Look, man, there's a lot of things that need to be discussed tomorrow. And look, man, the dons of this Raider YouTube thing need to put our ashes out. We're going to have the cigars rolling, bro. We got to put our ashes out when it comes to this Raider news right here. Salute to my brother Graphic. But yo, listen, man. When you start talking about these Raiders, man, Caleb Rogers is a people mover. Then you have Colton Miller. Colton Miller has perennially been one of the best left tackles in his game. DJ Glaze could potentially be a starter. Charles Grant could potentially be a starter. And DJ Glaze is a hell of a great piece to move around. And then you have the Tyler Linderbaum situation. Now, it looks like the Baltimore Ravens are probably, you don't let players like that walk out of the building. The Ravens have not really made that something that, you don't have an organization like the Raiders that allows that kind of talent to walk out of the building, right? But you got to ask yourself exactly what is going to happen, if John Harbaugh is not retained, right? But if Tyler Linderbaum is available, if you sign Tyler Linderbaum and you put him at center and you add him to what you already have in the mixture, you have 4 legit linemen. And then if Charles Grant is anything what they think, if he's anything close to as good as Caleb Rogers is, right, you might have your right tackle. If Glaze is looking like he should probably move the guard, if I'm being honest. He's a friend of the show. I love Glaze, but he looks like he should probably be a guard, right? And he's in his 3rd year. So he might get better, right? So now the Raiders have a markedly better offensive line at that perspective than the Cincinnati Bengals do. Now, the Raiders line is currently constituted is not that good because of the fact that, when we really, really look at it, the 2 best linemen on this team have been hurt. So Joe Burrow, right off that from that perspective, is coming into a better situation as far as getting hit. He's coming to a situation where there's a running game happening. He's coming into a situation where you have a Brock Bowers. You know what I mean? You're coming into a situation, man, where, you can go out there in free agency and spend a little bit. You can get this thing right. You can get this thing right. And having a 1st round pick is very, very important. But you build a team through all of the other picks that you have. So if John Spytek is the GM that we think he can outfit this team through free agency and through the draft, even without having a 1st round pick. So the Joe Burrow thing makes sense in context, right? It makes sense in context. It does, right? Because that's a definite. Now, there's the other piece of this, the Fernando Mendoza situation. Fernando Mendoza, salute to my guy, Freddie Hoover. Brick City's in the building. Salute, Freddie. Oh, my God. But look, man, we have to be real here, right? The real way to build a team is to build a team having a rookie deal on your quarterback, having rookie deals, man. You see it all over the league. The Chiefs did their damage when Mahomes was on a rookie deal. The Chargers window is effectively closing now, right? You have all of these players in the AFC West right now on the Chargers that are guys that, they're on rookie deals right now. Omarion Hampton and all these guys, Joe, all these dudes are on rookie deals. Now you got Rashawn Slater that's gotten paid. You man, you got Justin Herbert that's being paid, and let's see what they're gonna have after the season. Leaky Tiliapo, he's a guy that's on a rookie deal still. The Chargers are gonna lose a lot of talent, right? And the Raiders, and this is a team that's won nothing yet. They've never won anything in their history. So now, with the Raiders, we're looking at this situation like, yo, we have to build. We got to do it the right way. We don't want anybody else's trash, right? We don't want another quarterback to come here and play worse than he did in the first situation. But this is Joe Burrow we're talking about here. So if you have a chance to get a player of that ilk, you have to consider it, right? You have to consider it. Now, when you start talking about, Joe Burrow, the first thing, and we're going to get to Fernando Mendoza in a minute, right? The first thing you want to talk about is his injury history, man. This is a guy who has been out a hell of a lot. A hell of a lot. And what I want to do is I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys, man. Let's I'm going to start from the beginning at the top of the list. Joe Burrow, August the 14th, 2017, non-NFL, hand and wrist fracture, grade 1. He suffered a broken bone in his throwing hand during practice and had an operation to repair the fracture. He missed the start of that season. Now, this is non-NFL. Chest and rib fracture, grade 1. He suffered a torn rib cartilage near the end of his second quarter in the college football playoff for the national championship game. 2022. Knee tear, meniscus, grade 1, 6 games. He suffered a partial tear to his meniscus in his Week 11 loss to Washington. He was placed on IR and shut down for the 2020 season. 2020, it's the same deal. PCL tear. Suffered a partial tear of his PCL during Washington. That was the same injury, right? And an MCL and an ACL tear. Now, this is all the same knee, but this happened in 2020, right? 2021, suffered a dislocated pinky finger in a loss of the Chargers. 2022, unspecified knee strain. 2022, grade 2 MCL sprain. Now, he didn't miss any games, but it's still on his injury history. 2023, leg calf strain. Then 2023, 7 games missed. Burrow left Week 11 versus the Ravens with a right wrist injury. He missed the remainder of the 2023 season. And then this year, 9 games missed. Turf toe. Suffered a turf toe ligament injury. The team fears a grade 3. That turf toe will require surgery. And it did, and he missed multiple weeks. So this is Joe Burrow's injury history going back to college, man. Back to college. So that's another piece of it, right? So you're on the hook for the money, and also you got to deal with the fact that he's been injured. And right now, he's not in the best state of mind right now, right? So this is something that we got to consider, right? This is something we got to consider. This is something we got to consider, guys. We just ran it on down. But when you play quarterback in the National Football League, you get hurt. You get hurt. A lot of people say he's made of glass, but back in the day, the transparency on what kind of injuries and how much, we didn't have all of that stuff at the tip of our fingers the way we do now. We don't have all of that stuff at the tip of our fingers the way we do now. So that's something that you got to consider. My guy, Just Raiders, baby. Get a rookie QB, spend the money on O-line and defense. Salute to my guy, Just Raiders, baby. My guy, Raider Hater, M7K, member for 26 months. Peyton Manning was behind a horrible line in his early years. Aikman was behind a horrible line in his early years. We must pick a first-round QB. Salute, my guy. If we get Joe Burrow, invest heavy in the O-line rather than draft. Salute to my guy, Xavier Foster. He said, I'd rather get Mendoza a more homegrown route. Salute, man. My guy, S-Dot, wasted. What do you think about this left tackle, Miller, Caden Proctor, center? Wait. Miller at left tackle, Caden Proctor at left guard, center JPJ, right guard, Emmanuel Paragon, either DJ Campbell, and right tackle Lance Hurd. I mean, bro, first of all, those guys are all guys that you'd have to draft, right? Second of all, Caden Proctor is going to be a tackle in the NFL, bro. It's going to be a tackle. They're going to try him at tackle, and if it doesn't work, then they'll put him to guard. I don't think they're going to put a kid that big at guard right off the bat. I really, really don't. I really, really don't. Yo, salute to my guy Larry DM with the $5 slap of room, man. Burrow last 9 games, 8-1 with a bottom 3 O-line. Give me that. Yo, you got to chill. You got to chill, yo. Salute, yo. Salute, man. Salute, man. But so, guys, let me ask you guys a question, man. When you talk about Joe Burrow and the $48 million, how would you guys lose your shit if the Raiders went out there, traded a first rounder, 2 seconds, right? And went and got Joe Burrow? I mean, what would you guys think, man? Slim Reaper, Joe at this point in his career is not worth the cost. The whole reason the team sucks is because all their money is tied up to him and his receivers. Look at the Browns and their cap situation. That's not the total reason the Bengals are bad, right? The Bengals are bad because his contract, Jamar Chase's contract, and they weren't smart enough to let T. Higgins walk. I think the T. Higgins contract is what really hurt the Bengals, right? Because it had you gotten rid of T. Higgins, right, you would have been able to outfit that offensive line. The allocation of resources is exactly the problem in the NFL. How are you allocating your resources? Because everybody has the same pot to play from. This is not baseball, right? This is not a situation where you could just outspend everybody and outspend your mistakes. This is a hard cap sport. This is a hard cap sport, man. A hard cap sport. You know, so it's the allocation of resources. Salute to my guy, Big Lev. Bengals better come down on the asking price. Hopefully the front office won't allow us to get great for our picks and be on the hook for the contract. Well, look, I got to look at it like this, man. You know, whatever their asking price is their price. They might not even entertain any offers for Burrow. They might not. But if they do, it's something you got to consider. It's something that you got to consider, man. My guy, Bruce Bills. So I'm getting Burrow if he agrees to restructure and we use the rest of the free agency budget on the offensive line. Look, I think, and this is why I think that the Raiders situation could be a thing, right? You know, Joe Burrow and Tom Brady have a damn good relationship. You know, Brady has been a mentor to Joe Burrow. He's been a mentor to him. He's a guy that is an idol to Brady. I mean, Brady's an idol of his, right? And really, you know, these guys, you know, man, let me tell you something, man. These guys are thick as thieves, man. And I think that Joe Burrow would entertain being under the stewardship and being in the building with the GOAT. And I know Tom Brady would entertain this because, listen, man, this is a guy you don't have to wonder if he can play. He can play already. I mean, look at these guys. Look at these guys at the Diddy party. They Diddy partying it up in the Hamptons, man. You see these guys? Crazy. You see this right here? These guys are ready. These guys are rocking and rolling, man. I mean, you can smell a baby oil from here. Crazy, man. At Wasted, be for real. We're not getting Burrow. Mendoza, Maul away. Get the F up out of here. Salute to my brother Big Mike in the place, man. Brandon Coleman. We need to stop acting like Brady had any pull in bringing players in here or having an impact on our team or who we take until he actually factually has done something for us. Bro, this is what we can say about Tom Brady. Tom Brady and Mark Davis has said this. This is not. I'm going to give you some information, not affirmation. Tom Brady has a seat at the table when it comes to the decision-making process. Now, has that paid dividends for the Raiders as of yet? No, Brandon Coleman. But Can it pay dividends for the Raiders? Absolutely, it can. And it can with a player such as Joe Burrow, who idolizes him, who is trying to follow the same path as Brady, and who has a direct line to Tom Brady. You know, a lot of what happens with some of these players is that they feel like they don't have any control over what's happening around them. They feel like they don't have any say, right? And then when you're in a situation like with the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, Mike Brown is only going to spend so much money. The one thing about Mark Davis is not cheap. Mark Davis will roll out the red carpet. He will get you what you need to try to do whatever he can to win, right? So, and then when you have a Tom Brady in the building, this is a situation where you have a direct line to the ownership group as a quarterback to voice your opinions and to get things done in a real way. So I can see that paying dividends, and I can see Joe Burrow being a cornerstone of really revamping the new age Raiders in a new town, in a transient market that is growing. This is the fastest growing sports market in America. Joe Burrow can be the alpha, omega, the A1 in that market. Joe Burrow's face up in lights all through the entertainment capital of the world. You can believe that like you believe in the sky being blue. Telling you right now. So look, can that happen? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. Now, the thing about this is, right, if you miss out on a top 3 pick, if you miss out on one of the quarterbacks, this is the route you must take. This is the route you must take. And we are talking about Fernando Mendoza as if we already have the number 1 pick. We are talking about the number 1 pick as if we have some kind of rights to it now. And we do not. We do not. We don't know what is going to happen. That is one of the reasons why Wallace Mendoza talk. I love Fernando Mendoza. I'm a fan. You know, I'd be very, very happy if the Raiders round up with him. I'd be happy if the Raiders wound up with any young quarterback. I just want the Raiders to commit to bringing in a young guy. Commit. The Raiders can go out there and beat Philadelphia on Sunday. It can happen. It can happen. The Eagles have lost 4 in a row, right? So just with the doctor's order is the Raiders coming to town, correct? But at the end of the day, the Eagles are in first place in their division no matter what right now. I don't think anybody else is going to really catch them. I don't think the Cowboys are going to catch them, right? The Eagles are going to go to the playoffs probably regardless, right? They'd have to lose out to lose that division. I don't see that happening, right? I do not see that happening. I do not see that happening. I don't see that happening. But what I'm going to tell you guys is this, right? If the Raiders win another game this season and we're not in the driver's seat to get Mendoza, you have to do whatever you can to bring Joe Burrow in here. You have to. You have to. You cannot go into another season with Geno Smith. You can't go into another season with Kenny Pickett. Can't go into another season with one of these lower run guys. You need somebody that's going to move the needle here. You need somebody that's going to move the Eagles. Like people say, like, look, we might lose to the Eagles, right? We probably will. This is Super Bowl champs. We're not very good. We're not very good. But what I'll tell you is this. They might not lose to the Giants. You got to realize something. Now, the Raiders are coming east. We know West Coast teams in 1 o'clock games in the cold are not necessarily the best, right? One thing about Kenny Pickett is played with the Eagles, played with the Pittsburgh Steelers, played at Pitt. He's a cold weather quarterback. He can get it done. He can move, you know, in this offensive line and you know, at the behest of Pete Carroll, they are starting to change things up. They're starting to change things up. Starting to change things up. Salute, y'all. Now, you know, look, Do we want Geno for the rest of the season? Yeah, but it's not looking like that's going to happen. It's not looking like that's going to happen, y'all. Carroll said Maivia is the Raiders guy. He might be. And see, you might be able to get Maivia in the second round or something like that, even if you do bring in Burrow. That'd be great. You get your quarterback of the future, you get Joe Burrow. The Raiders tried trading for QBs. They tried bridge QBs. They tried mid-round QBs, and yet the Raiders still have been asked. And Preem, right? We got to ask ourselves something. It's not the method, but how you apply the method. We've also drafted a quarterback in Jamarcus Russell, number 1, right? And we didn't get it right. And that's the most important thing. There are several different methods in improving a football team. The thing about it is when you apply that method, is that method effective? Did you go about it the right way, right? Did you go out there and trade for a free agent quarterback that never has been really that good? Yeah, we've done that, right? We went out there and traded for guys like Gardner Minshew and Jimmy Garoppolo, guys that have never really been good. Now, Joe Burrow, that's a different situation, right? Have we traded for Carson Palmer? You damn right we have, right? But had Carson Palmer been out of football for like 2 years? You damn right. Yo, man, this thing is like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy, man. Yeah, man. Woo. Making my forehead itch, man. Salute to my guy Jay Rowe with the $20 slapper room, man. There was talk of Mark meeting with AP weekly after games. We haven't heard anything from the leadership this year. What does that mean, Wasted? Yo, it means that you have people in the building that Mark probably trusts. You know, it means that, you know, Mark Davis really, if we're being real, I don't think Mark Davis ever wanted to hire Antonio Pierce. He never wanted to hire Antonio Pierce. He never wanted to hire him. I feel like the fan base bullied Mark Davis into hiring Antonio Pierce. That's why he was so reticent to get rid of him. When at the end of the day, hindsight being 2020, Mark Davis probably should have just let Josh McDaniels finish the damn season. Should have let him finish the season, bro. That's the reason why, I don't want him to fire Pete Carroll right now. Whatever they're going to do it in the offseason. The fans wanted AP, and Mark bent to the fans. He listens to us. So that could be a good thing, and that could be a bad thing, because the root word of fan is fanatic, right? You get fanatical behavior. Sometimes, bro, we have to let the process play out. We got to let the process play out. Now, when we start talking about Fernando Mendoza, right? Fernando Mendoza is not Joe Burrow. He can only hope to be as good as Joe Burrow has been. But what Fernando Mendoza will be is he'd be cheaper, he'd be healthier, he'd be younger, and he'd be a guy that can come in and deal with, you know, the offensive load, so to speak. Pause, right? But the thing about having a Fernando Mendoza, right, that is a drawback to having a ready-made product like Joe Burrow is that Joe Burrow, even if you get a bad offensive coordinator, can cook. You understand what I'm saying? When you have a young quarterback, the most important thing when you draft a young quarterback is who the play caller is. Because we got to look at Fernando Mendoza at Cal, and let's look at that and kind of juxtapose that and put the two seasons next to each other. The difference between Fernando Mendoza at Cal and at Indiana, is the play caller. It is the play caller 150%, man. 150%, man. It is the play caller. Big Mike Rader. If you get Burrow, you gotta bolster the O-line. If you get JoJo Dancer, if you go get whomever, man, Lavander Williams, whoever, bro, you have to bolster this offensive line, bro. It is imperative. Not just for the quarterback, but for the running back. For that pick not to look bad. My dude Estott, nope, I'd rather draft Sellers as a 5th pick. Draft David Bailey, Caden Proctor too, Lance Hurd, Amar. Look, Caden Proctor is a 1st-round pick, bro. Caden Proctor is a 1st-round pick, bro. I'm telling you right now. You got him. You got the tackle from Miami. You know what I'm saying? You got Caden Proctor's a 1st pick, bro. He's a 1st-round pick, and Lenore Sellers might not come out. Everybody talks about Lenore Sellers like he's coming out. And I'm not a big Lenore Sellers guy right now. He hasn't done enough for me to want to draft him and me to handcuff him to the future of the Raiders. Look, the Raiders, no matter what they do at quarterback, it needs to be something that it has a sense of permanency to it. You can't have a situation where the Raiders are bringing in a young Band-Aid quarterback, such as the Aiden O'Connell or even Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers hasn't done enough for me to feel like he's ever going to be successful at the NFL level. There's some people in my chat right now talking about bringing in Kyler Murray and all this stuff. We got to stop with this. Y'all crazy, man. Yo, Burrow's a better fit for the Raiders than Mendoza. Why? Why? Like, why does everybody say that Fernando Mendoza is not a good fit for the Raiders? You know, listen, does Joe Burrow have that swagger? You damn right he does. Is he a winner? You damn right. So I think it begins and ends there. But how do we know that Fernando Mendoza doesn't come here and he's not a good fit? Fernando Mendoza, just from a personality type, reminds me of Derek Carr. And he was a great Raider. Like, I don't care. You don't got to be all swaggy to be my quarterback. You got to work hard. You got to galvanize the guys. You got to be the first in, the last to leave. You have to be successful. You have to be, tough, gritty. You got to be accurate. All these things. If he's a corny dude, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. When I see Fernando Mendoza, he's like the final boss of LinkedIn. The guy's like a business major. He's got all these advanced degrees. He's super smart. He's religious. He just seems like a great guy. He's the kind of person that if he doesn't play football, he's going to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 corporation. This is who Fernando Mendoza is. But that doesn't mean he won't be a good fit for the Raiders. Look, and Slim Reaper, you shouldn't be sold. I'm not sold on none of these guys. I'm not sold on you till you come in the National Football League and do the Lord's work. You come in here and you work and you win. I don't get, these guys don't get no pass for me. My guy J. Rowe with the $20 slap at Rooney. I read this already. I'm going to read it again. My guy, Papi Sosa, Robert Saleh to the Raiders. Is it one and done for Pete? I think so. I don't think there's any metric that you can sell bringing Pete Carroll back to the Raiders fan base. If you bring Pete Carroll back, the only way you can bring Pete Carroll back is if you do trade for a guy like Joe Burrow. If you try to bring Pete Carroll here, even with a rookie, the way he's played rookies this year, the fan base it's going to be a goddamn mutiny. I'm telling you right now, bro. Most of the problems with this season, now some people want to give Pete credit for, Caleb Rogers and his development and saying he wasn't ready. I think that is a crock of shit. The kid is a former tackle that played a lot of snaps in college. He played a lot of snaps, and he was ready from the get-go. So what was the alternative? Playing guys that have played at the bottom of the league? I'd rather a rookie go out there and play like that. If people talk about confidence, if your confidence is ruined, that easily, then you're never going to be a good player to begin with. F, I don't want to hear, listen, everything that Pete has asked for has not worked. He wanted Geno Smith. It ain't worked. He wants his son as the run game coordinator and offensive line coach. That hasn't worked. We'll say that 2 times. That hasn't worked. He wanted Patrick Graham to run his scheme. That ain't worked. Defense looked terrible. He wanted to move Jordan Meredith from guard and move him to center and do all this crap. That hasn't worked. There's not one thing that P has done this season that has really worked. Some of the people he's brought in, none of this stuff's worked. Even Caillou Blue Kelly, right, who has had the year of his personal career, that really hasn't worked. That guy was out there getting picked on all season. And he's made some plays. And salute to Caillou Blue Kelly, man, for getting it together. He has a lot of moxie. He's a young player. He's got some size. I think he's going to be a good player in this league. But I think that they did him a disservice the way they did him this year. Look, you got to take your bumps and your bruises, right? But you got to get a kid a break. My guy, Raider Great David, with a $5 slapper. He goes, Burrow cost the Bengals $56 million to trade. Just dumb fan talk. It's not talking. Also, they signed Higgins and Chase for Burrow. He can't bail. Hey, Raider Greats, look, it's not just dumb fan talk because a guy who played in the National Football League and who's on ESPN every single day broached the idea, and we're discussing it. That's what platforms like this are, Raider Greats. But I'm going to be real with you, bro. If you think it's dumb fan talk, then what you need to do is go on over to whatever platform you have and go cry in the effing sink. Go talk to yourself and scream in the void, David. That's what you can do. Because over here, when people talk Raiders, no matter if we agree, disagree, or whatever, we talk about it. You know what I'm saying, man? This is what the F we do over here, man. So if you don't like that, you can get the F right. My guy, J-Rock, traded for Burrow is the injection his franchise so desperately needs. We haven't made that transition from Carr successfully. I'm not comparing the two, but this would definitely solidify QB1 for the Raiders for the next 8 to 10 years. My guy, J-Rock, with the $20 slap-a-roon. And my brother, Ira Jackson, coming in here and gifting 10 Raider Nation Unlimited memberships to the masses, to the over 500 of you guys in the room. Salute to the GOAT, Ira Jackson, yo. Salute to the GOAT, Ira Jackson. Salute. All that outside BS other than skill and ability is irrelevant. If you can ball, you can ball. Now, look, the thing about Fernando Mendoza, this is the thing, right? The thing about Fernando Mendoza is he is the guy that a lot of us are rooting for, that we want, right? We don't even know if he's going to be the consensus number one guy. We know nothing at this point. The Raiders are going to have to, get whatever pick they get. I'm not, I'm just sitting here just waiting. But I'm going to be real with you. Yeah, Raider Greats by David. Listen, man, if you feel so compelled to do that, then you got to do what you got to do, my brother. I'm going to be real with you, man. You guys know how I get over here. Listen, this is what we do, man. This is what we do. We get at each other over here. If you can't get with being sent to the gulags, you got to get the F out of here. It's your crap. It's the F we do. F is wrong with you. Darian Porter clearly better than Caillou Blue Kelly. Yeah, don't be. Look, you know we do. We dust it up in here, man. I'm sorry, my guy, Ira Jackson, man. I'm up here cooking, man. I'm sorry, man. I didn't see the late announcement for the great Ira Jackson, man. I'm so sorry, man. And guys, who's ever been gifted memberships by Ira Jackson, please thank him, yo. Yeah, nah, I mean, listen, Raider grades, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think it's happening either, bro. I really don't think it's happening. But we got to talk about it, right? We got to talk about it. And if he tries to force himself out of there, then that's what happened. And bro, look, trade everything for Joe. Nah, look, we can't do that. We can't do that now. Now, look, we have to. We got to be for real here, man. It's looking like no matter what direction this all goes, the direction needs to lead the Raiders. It has to lead the Raiders to drafting a quarterback. It has to. It has to. And Joe Burrow is not Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, that was a little different. Brandon Coleman, you going to get a membership, bro. I'm telling you, with guys like Ira Jackson, man, they give them out to the masses. But yeah, look, let's get into this, man. But I love it, man. Ira Jackson, how can I get blocked? It'd be one for the bucket list. Just 5 seconds. Ira Jackson, listen, if you comment and say something to get you sent to the gulags, it happens, man. He said block MB 30. Wait, what's wrong with MB, man? What's wrong with MB, bro? MB is minding his business, bro. My guy. Necessaryism, Verm. If a team is willing to entertain getting rid of Burrow, there must be something we don't know about his health, and that's another piece to it, right? That is another piece to it. But guys, look, let's transition off of this Joe Burrow stuff, right? Let's transition off the Joe Burrow stuff. Let's transition, right? They're saying that Colton Miller is going to be returning to the Raiders lineup, man. Like, injuries this season have kind of been the story of the season for the Raiders, right? And look, Colton Miller is one of the best tackles of the National Football League when he is healthy. His injury was the start of like a very, very long, terrible season for Colton Miller. He's never been hurt this much. And, we have a very, very top-heavy roster. We can't afford injuries at situations like left tackle, quarterback, any of that, right? So Miller returned to practice ahead of the Eagles matchup. I don't think he's quite ready to return, but Miller's status is starting to trend towards a direction. Pete Carroll spoke about this, where he's going to start coming back. Now, for me, I'm 100% on board with saving him for next year. I'm gonna be real. I am on board with saving him for next year. I really do not want to bring Colton Miller back at this point. I don't, man. Salute to my guy CGR, man. Salute to my guy CGR. Salute to my guy Ira. And salute to the newest members of the Wasted Talent Army, man. Hey, listen, do me a favor. Somebody send Ira Jackson to the gulags unceremoniously. Yeah, but I don't want to see Colton Miller this season, man. Just rest him. And some of the stuff that's happening with the decisions that are being made are things that lead me to believe that Pete Carroll won't be here next year. If he had assurances that he was going to be here next year, I think he would view things from a different prism. He would view things, listen, we'll get him next year. Right? Because he knows he's not making it to the playoffs, right? He knows it would behoove him to play the younger guys. He knows it would behoove him because he has time to build this thing, right? So if you're trying to build this thing, why would you leave things in a situation where it's a detriment to the future of the team? Salute to my brother, Big Mike Raider, gifted 5 Raider Nation Unlimited memberships to the masses. Salute to my brother, Big Mike. Thank you, bro. But some of the moves that Pete Carroll are making reek of desperation. Reeks of desperation. Reeks of desperation. What the hell is going on in my chat? What the F is going on here? This has been a great show. What the F is going on here? Primo's got sent to the gulags for what? Yo, I was on board with Pete, but I really have to question his refusal to develop the young talent earlier. I do too, and I think that is going to be on his headstone as you know, his tenure as Raider coach winds down. That is going to be one of the things that has caused him to die a miserable death here. I really, really do, man. I really do. You know, is there a method to his madness? We will yet soon see, right? Some people say that, you know, the reason why these young guys are starting to come along is because of the way Pete has kind of brought them along. But I think that's a very, very Johnny come lately bogus homer take, right? Because there are people all throughout this league who play young players and they pay dividends. Why do the Raiders have to have like this Raiders scholarship and mentorship fund to play guys? It's crazy to me. Crazy to me. And it is. Judge Jodo Black. It is. Salute to Andy in the place, man. Salute to my brother Andy, man. But yeah, listen. Caleb Rogers not playing, and that's coaching malpractice. I've been screaming for Caleb Rogers all season because I knew that he was a people mover. He was a former right tackle. When you take tackles and move them inside the guard, what you get is at the very minimum, you get a competent guard. This draft is simple. If we get a top 2 pick, grab a QB. If not available, BPA, trade back, no more than 10 picks, so we can get an impact player plus an extra first and a second round pick. No, listen, let me tell you something. This draft is way more simpler than that. Quarterback or bust. The Raiders can't afford to go, you know, what's it been, 2000? They can't afford to go 20 years without drafting a number 1 quarterback. They cannot. There is no metric to where the Raiders can come out of this draft without a quarterback. Whether and the thing is, you don't have to listen. The Raiders might like Diego Pavia. The Raiders might like Jaden Maivia. You know, the Raiders might like they might like another quarterback in this draft, right? Stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. But no matter what the cost, they have to get a quarterback. No matter what the cost. And if they don't, guess what? They have to go out there and mortgage a lot to go get Joe Burrow. And if Joe Burrow comes in the building with his relationship with Tom Brady, what did Tom Brady do throughout his career to keep the Patriots viable? What did he do? What did he do? What did Tom Brady do? He took a cut. Thank you, Slim Reaper. The smartest chatter rate of YouTube. He took a cut. He restructured. He did whatever he could so that they can win. And I think Joe Burrow, being in the situation that he's in, is showing him that is the metric. He deflated footballs as well. Gulag, not that bad, guys. Been there plenty of times. Just don't accept any gifts from Popeye. He wants chong chong. Get the F. Get out of here with your crap, DeMokes. This guy going full American me up in here, man. F up out of here, DeMokes. Listen, man, if they leave candy on your pillow, don't take it. He wants that chong chong. God damn, DeMokes. Oh man, yo. DeMokes gotta chill, man. He gotta chill, man. They had that boy in the Google bags like that, man. Crazy, man. That boy was in there. That boy was in the gulags with Schillinger from Oz, man. Late, please tell me we ain't sugarcoating Brady. Wasted. Best not be pulling any 180s with that hat. You tripping, yo. What you talking about, bro? Yo, the Bucs gotta chill, man. Yo, it's that simple. Stay in the driver's seat and get your QB. Nobody is trying to help us. So even if we did try to trade for Burrow, we would get robbed for picks and players. Get your guy. And look, Laker Nation, at the end of the day, this is the one thing that you can't ask, right? You can't ask Pete Carroll, right, as a head coach, or players that are going out there and getting hit, and guys that have contract ramifications. They have things in their contract that they want to hit. You know, they're not going out there and losing for who's going to be here next year. These guys are not losing to bring in their replacement. This isn't a good football team. There's a pretty good goddamn chance that most of these guys on this team are not going to be here, bro. So they want to win. They want, whether we want them to win or not, they want to win. The coach wants to win because this looks bad on him, bro. If he doesn't get another bite at the apple next year, this guy is not in the Hall of Fame, right? He probably will. He might, right? Because Pete won one Super Bowl. He ain't special. Like, he ain't win multiple Super Bowls. He went to a bunch, right? But this is a league that makes people who won a lot wait. They made Jimmy Johnson wait a long time to get into the Hall of Fame because of his short career. And Pete Carroll has had a good career, but he's not Jimmy Johnson. Right? Like, I don't know. Like, is he as good as, Mike? Is he as good as, Bill Cowher? Pete Carroll might not. He might not get in the Hall of Fame, especially after this. Right? So Pete Carroll wants to win. These guys want to win, bruh. Yo, a lot of these players, this might be their last time playing professional football, bro. And yes, he is the same stubborn old man who didn't hand the ball off the beast mode. He's the same stubborn old man who didn't play a lot of these rookies. And he might be the same stubborn old man who wants to win in spite of whatever. The people on this current roster does not give a shit about what happens next year. Not named Maxx, Crosby, Brock Bowers, and Ashton Genty, because they're the only ones that know they're going to be here. Colton Miller. Telling you right now. So don't be shocked if they go out there and fuck it up and win. And then now they're picking 5th or 6th. They do this shit every year. So listen, the reason why I have not really delved deep into Fernando Mendoza and who we going to pick is because we don't know what we're picking. Until we have solidified one of the top 3 picks, we don't know. And then wait, like Graf said, wait, there's more. You don't know that the Jets won't open up the floodgates, that the Rams won't open up the floodgates because the Rams have a lot of draft capital and move up and get their guy because Matthew Stafford is old. We don't know. Now, there's a lot on the line for our opponents, right? So when you look at the Raiders' remaining opponents, right? You know, the Raiders' remaining opponents, there are a lot of them who have a lot on the line, right? So, look, we got the Eagles. Then we got the Texans. We got the Giants, and we got the Chiefs. Now, if the Chiefs don't beat the Chargers, they can be out of the playoffs. The Giants, what do they really have to lose? The Giants are eliminated. They're not making the playoffs. The Texans and the Eagles got a lot to play for. Right? They got a lot to play for. The Eagles can't lose 5 in a row. You're going to get the best of the Eagles. You know, a West Coast team in a 1 o'clock game in a cold temperature. I don't like the odds for the Raiders. But the Giants flying to Allegiant Stadium, that's a game you might want to red circle. That's a game you might want to red circle because they're the same record as us right now, right? Maybe the Giants might string together another win. You got a great defensive line there, right? But it's the second and last game of the season. Are we going to see Jackson Dart? Like, do we know? But the Chiefs, if the Chiefs lose, if the Chiefs lose to the Chargers and they're out of the playoff hunt, I can see Andy Reid sitting everybody and their mother down so that we do some dumb shit and win. I can see it, bro. Houston needs that win. The Eagles need this. The Eagles need it. But the Giants, and depending on if the Chiefs got to win. They got to beat the Chargers. If they don't beat the Chargers, that game means nothing. If they beat the Chargers, they'll be playing for their playoff life. The Chiefs got to win out. They got to win out, man. Maz Dog. So why are we acting like we just build a perfect team that any QB will work? Who are those players playing in the meantime? Minshew, Smith, Russell, Bowler, Hoyer, Meyer. Get a good QB first. Maz Dog. The thing about it is there's more than one way to skin a cat. The problem is we haven't done either. We haven't built a good, complete team, and we haven't located the quarterback. The only time we came close to that is we had a very top-heavy roster with a very good Derek Carr before he got hurt. That's what we did, but we never have, like, yo, pick a struggle. Either get the talented quarterback or build the roster or do both. But we've done neither one, bro. We don't know. They haven't done either one, bro. There is more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah, and everybody says Jameis Winston is going to light us up. He might light us up, and he might feed us too. Because Jameis Winston is the perfect example of the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. That is a guy who will throw 4 touchdowns, and he's done it this year, and throw 4 interceptions in the same damn game. Philly 8-5, Dallas is 6-1. And yes, the Eagles have to close the door on Dallas. They need this dub. They need that dub. Both asking too much for a head coach who can't chew gum and coach at the same time. What are we talking about here? We've been recycling coaches, QBs, since you had to listen to a game on AM radio. That's a fact. Al Davis always thought that you can go out there and get a quarterback on the scrap heap. That's not the modern NFL. You got to draft one, right? But the problem is this. You guys got to be prepared. You got to be prepared if the Raiders win a game to start opening up your eyes to other options here. You know what I'm saying? You have to. You have to, because you until the last game of the season and until we know the draft order, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know, man. We don't know. Look, when you start talking about Dante, I think Dante Moore has a lot of talent. Dante Moore at UCLA had a lot of talent. He has a lot of talent at Oregon. You know, and is he a guy that I think that, you know, I'd be happy if the Raiders got? Yeah. Is he the guy that I want in this draft? No. Now, Ty Simpson hasn't played enough, and I think that it would be a mistake for the Raiders to take him very early like that. He hasn't played enough football, right? His arm strength is not really, you know, his arm strength is not elite. He doesn't really do a whole lot of elite, you know, he doesn't have a whole lot of elite traits, you know, Ty Simpson. You know, Ty Simpson is a guy that, you know, is behind a very talented roster, right? And he's a gamer. I like his moxie, but he's one of those guys, man, that can get you in real trouble as an organization. I think if you don't have the right infrastructure, you know, for Ty Simpson. I really believe that, right? He's 6'2", 208. He's like Derek Carr size. He's a junior. So, you know, I think he's a guy that probably should stay in college. You know, it's hard for me to say that because it'd be rough for a kid like that to come out and you know, pass up the chance to be a top 5 pick. But we don't know if Ty Simpson's going to be a top 5 pick. We're assuming that. But once they start going through the combine and people start really looking at his game tape and looking at the deficiencies in his game, I don't know if he's going to be a top 5 pick. Now, he's a son of a coach, right? He grew up kind of dissecting defenses, watching film. So that's a plus. That's a plus, man. Like, and he had 3 years of sitting behind Bryce Young, Jalen Milroe, you know, and now, you know, I see a lot of good with, you know, above the shoulders, right? Like, he's a good guy when it comes to consistently, you know, breaking down what's going on across the field, you know, pre-snap. He does well at decoding coverages. His post-snap eyes, you know, are great. You know, there's a lot of things that Ty Simpson does well, man. He has great pocket presence. He has a really good clock. You know, he doesn't get rattled a lot. But, you know, his physical tools are not going to be something that people are going to be, you know, enamored with. When he goes to the combine and you see him, he goes to Underwear Olympics, he starts throwing that football. You know, he's a gamer, but he's not a guy that I look at and I'm like, yo, this is a top 5 pick, right? He's kind of small. Probably should put on a little more muscle. Got a little pocket drift. You know what I mean? And, you know, his deep touch on a football is something that kind of bothers me because he is a guy that does not have that zip on a football, man. you know, and he's only had really, you know, a couple of starts, man. Now, some people think he's the most NFL ready prospect. I beg to differ, right? Especially from a physical standpoint. Especially from a physical standpoint. And listen, you know, Hug D's talking about whoa, deep touch. I mean, Hug D's. If anybody is familiar with deep touch, it is you. If anybody, I mean, when this guy walks into a bathhouse, they hit a gong. Hug D ski is here. He walks into a Russian bathhouse. He walks into the Schwitz, and people drop their towels. Hug D. They said Hug D ski is here. Oh man. Crazy, man. It is insane in here, bro. Oh my God. It's an Hug these skis is here. It is time to drop your trowel. It's a family show, damn it. What are you guys doing in here? The family show. Operation D. Yo, you guys, you stop about this crap. Was it Hug D's in that pic in the hot tub with 50 and Diddy? I don't know, man. I don't know. Y'all gotta chill, man. You gotta chill. You gotta chill. Don't do my don't listen. You guys are not allowed to question Hug D's, man. Only I'm allowed to do that. The F is wrong with you. The F is wrong with you. Yeah, easy, champ. You gotta chill, bro. You gotta chill. You will look the Hug these. Look, only I can do that. The F is wrong with you, Big Levi. The F up at you. Yeah, too far. You damn right it's too far, yo. So if I wanted a family show, he goes, I'd watch PBS. There is no more PBS. There is no more PBS, man. All you got is wasted talent, man. I'm the Mr. Rogers of Raider Nation. Little Bob Ross. Yo. Embarrassing waste. Yo, my God, yo. So listen, man, we got a lot more show for you guys. We got a lot more show. Got a lot more show. Yeah, and there's no going after Hug D's, man. Send whoever goes after Hug D's, send them to the gulags. The F is wrong with you guys. But guys, I think we got some good show, man. Estai is talking about drafting David Bailey first. Like, you are tripping, bro. Tripping, bro. Yeah, you gotta chill, bro. You drafting a linebacker, bro, first. You can't, the Raiders can't afford to do that shit. Yeah, and bro, we gotta watch some more tape on these guys, man. We gotta watch some more tape on these guys. You know, I like Ty Simpson, bro, but the thing is, yo, the most important thing with the Raiders, man, is getting it right. All of these names, every year, they're names that everybody thinks are like, you know, the end all and the be all. We have drafts where, you know, right now, right? If I told you that Sam Darnold was taken before Josh Allen, you would laugh. If I told you Sam Darnold was taken before Lamar Jackson, you would laugh. You would laugh. But those teams got it right. Now, during that draft process, people were telling you that Sam Darnold was the end all and be all, the alpha and omega, Baker Mayfield. Right? But who would you rather have, man? All these guys came out the same draft. It's about getting it right. It's about getting it right, guys. Unless the dude is 6'5", 250 and runs sideline to sideline better than Micah, forget about it. DeMokes, that's enough. It's enough of your crap. DeMokes, listen, man. That's it. Gulags for you. It's enough. It's enough of your crap. It's enough of your crap, DeMokes. Leaky T. If we talking Spencer Fano, Ione could be an option for us in the trend. Yeah, that's right. I like Spencer Fano. People think he's going to be the first tackle taking his draft for the kid out of Miami. That'll be a direction for the Raiders to go to, right? Now, DeMokes is banned. But guys, the thing for me is this. It is more so about taking the right quarterback. It's not having the number one pick. It's cool to have a number one pick. It's great, but you better make sure you damn well get it right. You better damn well make sure you get it right. Said Sam Darnold might wind up being better if he wins the chip. Not necessarily. Not necessarily, right? Like if we look at these guys, you look at these guys, man. You look at the careers that they've had. Sam Darnold is having a good 2-year run. But is it going to continue, right? Is it going to continue? You're wasted. Do you still? I love Drew Allar. I don't love taking a guy who had a catastrophic injury, number one. But the thing for me is this. Say, for instance, you do go the Spencer Fano route. You get it left tackle, you make him right tackle. You do what the Chargers did with Joe Alt. And then Drew Allar is there for you in the second round because you're picking at the top of the draft. I'm happy with that. You came out of the draft with a young quarterback that you could sell to the franchise. Then now you can look at some veteran options. It can't be Geno, but you can look at some veteran options. It can't be Geno, though. And the thing about it is, you say, Allar didn't do shit in college, right? He was in the national championship hunt, right? And he's a guy that has a certain amount of skills. You know who else didn't do shit in college? Josh Allen didn't do shit in college. Patrick Mahomes had a great, he lit it up in college in a sense, but he didn't win anything in college. He didn't win anything in college. He didn't win anything in college. It's about picking the guy. And you say measurables are overrated. Measurables are overrated when they are not developed properly and you're not in the right decision. But measurables are not overrated when you get a guy like a Josh Allen because he was largely drafted off of his measurables. Look, Lamar Jackson won a Heisman. So I will never say that he was just, measurables. But if we're being honest, those measurables have a fucking good a role into why Lamar Jackson has been league MVP. And Drew Allar is a guy that's big, strong, can throw the ball hard, and he can process. A lot of what has illed Drew Allar is, Franklin being a coach and not really trying to cultivate an NFL quarterback. He's trying to win college games. They talk about Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had a great college career, bro. What are you talking about? Peyton Manning lit it up, man. You wasn't there, bro. And y'all better make sure y'all pay them bar tabs, right? But, when you start talking about Mahomes, 2014 freshman, right? He played 7 games, right? His sophomore year, he played 13 games. He had 4,000 yards. He had 5,000 yards at tape. So, he did, Mahomes, part himself, he did light it up. He did light it up. Yeah, I forgot. I forgot. Patrick Mahomes did light it up, yo. He had 5,000 yards. God damn. But this is the thing. You cannot pass on young quarterback talent that has some markers of success in the league. Right? Like we're sitting here watching the maturation of Shedeur Sanders, and a lot of you guys last year were like, "Oh, he's there. I don't want him." That's crazy. It's crazy. The Raiders right now would really be in a great position had they taken Shedeur Sanders last year. Imagine how this draft will look now. Imagine how it would feel now having Shedeur Sanders step in the middle of the season and start to grow in a way where he's looking like he can be a startable guy, a viable guy, right? And then now you can do shit like take Reuben Bain, or you can take shit like take Caleb Downs, and you can go out there and go crazy in free agency because you got a rookie quarterback who's on a woefully low deal. This is why you always have to invest in young quarterbacks, because they allow you the space, the latitude, the grace to be out there and really, really try to improve your roster. Telling you right now, you imagine having that young guy with Genty, with Bowers. They'd be like the new triplets. They'd be like the new triplets. And guess what? If you would have drafted him in the 4th round, there'd be nothing stopping you from taking a quarterback high this year. Drafting quarterbacks extends your lifespan as a coach. It keeps the fan base at bay. It gives the fan base hope. It gives the team hope. The reason why there's no hope is because we got a 35-year-old quarterback and a 75-year-old coach that are making a shitload of money. Laker Nation. He goes, try to tell fans for the drafted Sanders. Yeah, I didn't want the drama to come. Nah, I wanted him. I wanted him here. And you guys know that. I'm a Shedeur guy. You're wasted. How about I like Maivia, bro? My guy Cream Corn put me up on Maivia. I've been watching him. I like him, right? I don't know if I like Maivia with the 3rd pick, the 2nd. You know what I'm saying? Like Maivia, we got to see how he grades out. I don't know if he's a 1st round pick. I don't know. But he's a young guy. I think that the Raiders are in a situation where they need to keep trying to cultivate that quarterback room. The Raiders are in a situation where they need every year. It's almost like in baseball when you bring young arms in and you have young arms in your farm system, right? That is what the quarterback gives you the latitude as an organization. It gives the organization, it gives the fan base, it gives the coaching staff rope and hope. Rope and hope. I'm telling you right now. I really wish that the Raiders would have taken Shedeur Sanders, but listen, we can't be revisionist history majors here, right? The Raiders didn't do it. And now we're in a situation where we don't know how they're going to finish. We don't know if they are going to finish with the 1st pick. If they finish with the 1st pick, then it's academic. But this is the thing, right? If they don't finish with the 1st pick, if they are not in the top 3, or they are in the top 3 and they get jumped over, and the guys that you guys want are gone right now, what do? What do we do? My guy Hug D's. He goes, wasted. What do we do if Two Gloves Pickett comes out there and cooks in the snow. We chalk it up to Kenny Pickett having a good game. We chalk it up to a guy who has started in this league, and you take that, you file it, and you say, hey, maybe, when I do continue to draft my quarterback, I got a guy that can be a placeholder. I think Kenny Pickett's playing for his NFL career. He could be a placeholder. That would be a great role for Kenny Pickett to be a bridge quarterback. He's a low cost option. He's new. He's somebody at the Raiders fan base wouldn't be pissed off, especially like if you bring Kenny Pickett back as the starter for the beginning of the season. Only if you have a young quarterback that people are high on, can you do that. You can do that, right? And that's all contingent on Pete Carroll being brought back. Now, if Pete Carroll isn't brought back, I don't think a new coach is going to want to sign up for bringing Kenny Pickett as his placeholder. I don't think so. I mean, what are you guys talking about? Yo, Raider Loso, you're wasted. You see my Dodgers? Edwin Diaz. Yeah, I saw that, man. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, there are a lot of Mets fans in the fetal position right now, bro. But it is what it is. Natural Immunity says, I wasn't on board with getting Sanders early in the draft, but it was absolutely stupid not to get him in the 3rd and 5th rounds. I get it, man. Look, bro, we are not revisionist history majors over here. He's a Brown. It is what it is till it ain't. It is what it is till it ain't, man. Look, for me, if you're gonna ask me today who I want Fernando Mendoza. Do I know whether Mendoza is a better prospect than Shedeur Sanders at this point in the game? I don't know that. But do I think that Fernando Mendoza for the Raiders has a higher floor than Shedeur? I think he has a higher floor. I think that, guys like Jackson Dart, guys like Shedeur Sanders might have a higher ceiling, right? But I think that he has a higher floor. And that is what's really, really important, right? Because we have to get whatever decision the Raiders make at quarterback next year. Because, look, we got to continue to look towards the future, right? Whatever decision they make, whether it is drafting a quarterback or whether it is, bringing in a quarterback, outsourcing that whole thing, it cannot be a situation where you have a Band-Aid that you've brought in and try to sell to this fan base once again. It will not play well. It won't happen. And I'm telling you right now, Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas, turning this thing around and bringing a respectable product to the Raider fan base, I think the Raiders have another year or two to do that until they lose an entire generation of fans. Look, I'm locked in. I've been locked in my whole life. I love the Raiders. Guess what? There are a bunch of kids who don't know anything as far as what was great about this team. You got kids that have been alive almost 20 years that have seen nothing but losing. That's all they've seen. Why would they sign up for that? You have a town that's a transient town that is not really a sports town yet. You have transplanted this franchise from California where their roots are, where maybe the kids might grow up watching them on TV and falling in love with certain players. It's going to be hard to do that in a transient town like Las Vegas. They got to win on some level in the next few years. They have to they have to be competing for the playoffs within the next 2 years. They have to be. If they're not, they are done in Las Vegas. They have to be that. And that is the reason why this year, whether it's from free agency, whether it's drafting Mendoza, whether it's drafting Moore, they got to get it right. They got to get it right. Yo, bringing Burrow in Vegas will light the Raiders' fuse. Easy. Or Kyler Murray. He's short, yeah, but see, look, let me tell you something. Kyler Murray is, some people think he's the best high school quarterback or high school player to ever suit up in Texas. There is a lot of people who feel that way. But also, there's the reality of the fact that his limitations as a quarterback are directly tied to his stature. Kyler Murray has to get out the pocket to be able to see downfield. Listen, there are not 4 quarterbacks in the NFL Hall of Fame that are under 6'2". There's a reason Drew Brees was so special. Drew Brees was a shorter quarterback, right? But he mastered how to play being a shorter quarterback. Kyler Murray has not done that yet. Now he has to do all these athletic, he has to play a brand of hero brand football to win. He hasn't mastered it yet. Russell Wilson had it mastered for a little bit, right? But was it Russell Wilson or was it that tremendous defense out there in Seattle and Marshawn Lynch? He had to have everything right for him to be successful. Bringing Kyler Murray here does not guarantee us anything but mediocre ball. He's out there with wide receivers and shit in Arizona. He's playing mediocre ball. Jacoby Brissett is a journeyman quarterback that's a bigger guy that can see down the field, and he is delivering that football down the field. You better make no mistakes about it, bro. For us older fans, man, those great memories fade as well when you see this crap every year. It's rough being a mother effer in the nation this year. That's right, man. Tom Brady's rookie season as an owner was rough. Better hope he has a chance to bounce back in his sophomore season and bring in Burrow. Look, Tom Brady as an owner, we don't necessarily know how much latitude he has. But what I will tell you is this. The one thing he has is cachet, he has gravitas, and he has the respect of anyone he stands across the room from. So what Tom Brady gives you is he gives you somebody that's at least willing to hear you out. That's all he guarantees. Now, as far as him being an owner, look, if he's the de facto team president or some shit like that, playing that kind of role, that's not a part-time job. And the Raiders are never going to pay him $370 million. He's never going to recoup that money from the Raiders. Even his ownership stake, I don't know if it's worth that much for him right now at this point. It will be down the line, right? So if Tom Brady does have a say, he better not have the main say, because he can't be involved every single day holding the job he holds. He can't, right? And this is not a part-time situation. This is a situation that you need somebody who is entrenched in this and obsessed with it every single day. There's an infatuation with fragile glass quarterbacks in his chat. Shaking my head. I don't get bad investments. Kyler Murray, Drew Allard, Joe Burrow. What the hell is going on? Nah, Drew Allard, how is he fragile? The guy had one injury in college. It's a knee injury. Everybody gets injured. How the hell is that kid fragile? Kyler Murray, smaller. Joe Burrow, smaller. But these are two guys who have won in college. Heisman Trophy winner, #1 pick. It's not an infatuation. It's just a reality. Kyler Murray has had some success in this league. Joe Burrow has been to a Super Bowl. So you wouldn't want Joe Burrow, S-Dot? Who the hell wouldn't want Joe Burrow if there was a possibility you can get him, especially if it made some kind of sense? I mean, what the F are you talking about? See, Gabe, go. With our luck, Burrow would never play a full season for us. Then we're on the hook for a big wasted bag spent. Bro, scared money don't make money. Scared money don't make money, bro. You can't not take a flyer on a player like Joe Burrow if you have the chance and you were in that scenario. And look, Joe Burrow's worth trading a first-round pick if you're not getting Fernando Mendoza and you're not getting more. Yeah, yes, he is. Yes, he is, 100%. If you as the Raider organization don't see another guy that is worth and worthy of a first-round pick, then you goddamn right, you better go get Joe Burrow. You goddamn right. Because that's somebody that everybody knows can play. I think a lot of you guys are scared of success. I think a lot of you guys are scared to do what it takes no matter what. Just because Joe Burrow has gotten hurt, right, doesn't mean that it won't work if you brought him in here. You have to do it the right way. It's not just getting him. It's outfitting him with an infrastructure to protect him. It's outfitting him with the skill position players for him to be successful. It's getting him to restructure his deal in the right way. I mean, come on. He's proven. Look, would I rather Fernando Mendoza? Yeah. You know why? Because he's on a rookie deal. He's young, he's big, he's strong. You throw the ball hard and he works hard. And he can be, and that harkens back to what I always say. I don't want the shitty version of something that was once great. But the good thing about Joe Burrow is he's still young. Mendoza's younger. But I'm telling you now, if they miss the Mendoza train, if they miss the Moore train, guess what? You got to get Joe Burrow. It can't be a situation where you're putzing around and you're kicking the tires on people and then you wind up with Jimmy Garoppolo again. People want to complain about Burrow with the shit show we keep having at QB. Makes no sense. Yeah. What some see as yelling, others interpret as passion. Thank you, bro. I see Burrow going to Minnesota too before he comes to Vegas. I do. Right, but it all depends on what they're willing to give up. I think Minnesota, you know, they got J.J. McCarthy, right? So maybe they might want that. We're not a QB away, but we are a QB away. Do you understand? I hate when people say this. Do you understand how important a quarterback is, bro? Not having a quarterback is like having a Mercedes-Benz without a fucking engine in it. It don't make no sense to say that. Having a quarterback is everything. That's the reason why a coach would want to coach here. And you get a bright play caller. And free agents want to line up to play here. And people take less money because quarterbacks make people believe. Getting a quarterback is everything. When you're a quarterback away, you're everything away. And I'm talking about a great quarterback. I think Burrow is a great young quarterback. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in his league. A QB is every fucking thing. And silver facts, it wouldn't be at the expense of this team. This team has a lot of cap space. This team has a situation where if Burrow's coming here, he's leaving a situation that he wants to get out of. He's walking into a situation he wants to make better. How do I make that better if I'm Joe Burrow? I restructure my deal. That is how. Then you have an Ashton Jeanty who can be a generational guy if you fix the goddamn line. You already have Colton Miller. They don't have a lineman better than Colton Miller in the Bengals now at all. Jackson Powers Johnson would be one of the best linemen that the Cincinnati Bengals have. God damn it, if Caleb Rogers is what we think, you got 3 guys you can lean your hat on. You got Glaze, who is a good young prospect. You don't know what you have in Charles Grant. You might be one lineman away from having a damn good offensive line. I mean, you need to stop being in love with every fucking lineman that has a certain size that hasn't played well worth of shit. S. Dot. That ever you talk that out of here. This guy's been to a goddamn Super Bowl, won a national title, been a damn Heisman. What are you talking about? I'm not saying we got a chance. But if Joe Burrow walked through the door in Las Vegas, you mean to tell me you'd have a fucking problem with that? So we got the best receiving tight end in football on a rookie deal. Even if we losing a mid QB, we would improve. Our stock. Coaches will come and work here for goddamn free. That is what I am talking about. Big little Schmeedy and Bosco, my dog. Yo, Real Dicks Insider. We got to do what the Bears did. Yeah, we got to try. Free agent lineman. Yo, go to a winning team. Winning teams aren't winning teams till you have the assortment of players, coaches, and people around the infrastructure. You can go from worst to first in the NFL. The NFL is all about parity, bro. There are a lot of teams right now that are in first place that were terrible last year. But you got to build it the right way. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Guys, look, I can't believe. Yeah, no, the Bears have, listen, they went and got a talented play caller. They have a number one pick at quarterback, and they improved the hell out of their offensive line. The Bears have done it right. They have went from being a laughingstock to being a respectable product with a bunch of young players that are going to get better. Hell yeah. And that's, facts. James Clegg and Brendan Carroll might be the only O-line coach these young guys know. Get a real O-line coach, and he might fix it. Think about when the Raiders had Carmen Basillo here. When you had Greg Van Roten and Jermaine Illuminor and all these guys. Think about that. This team improved marketably. But guys, listen, man. It's 8 o'clock. It's Friday night. Guys, enjoy your families. This has been a splendiferous occasion. We will be rocking all weekend. The Graf and Wasted Show will be coming at you. There will be some shorts that I'm putting up. We're gonna be, the post-game show as always. Listen, you guys have a terrific night. Love every single one of y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all, man. I'm about to go spend time with my oldest. My oldest is back from college right now. I haven't, I got to go spend time with my baby, man. So listen, you guys, see you guys on the next show. Love every single one of y'all, man. My dog, Brendan Coleman, thank you, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all, man. The Bears did exactly what McKenzie did. Yep. Had a better coach in the playoff team. That's right. Later, y'all. Y'all have a great time, man. Great night, man. Love every single one of y'all, man. Like this thing out. Share it out to all your folks, man. Share it out to the masses, man. Love every single one of y'all. Y'all have a terrific, terrific, terrific night, man. Peace.